caucus. We're going to talk about. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everybody. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Jonny Sue is still spinning on the ones and twos, and his mind is in the Iowa caucus. We had the New Hampshire primaries. But first off, fam, happy Valentine's Day.
Fam, I hate Valentine's Day. It is a capitalist, corporate, oligarchy type of holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a fan.
What'd you get today?
Nothing, because I don't believe in Valentine's
Nothing?
Day.
Fellas, you better step it up over here. We need some flowers, some chocolates, something over here. Right now we got 21 people. We're not starting the show, fam, until we get going, because we haven't been with you guys in a long time, and we need you in. We got to unpack everything we did in New Hampshire. For New Hampshire, a state that says live free or die. Maybe you should get some public access internet over there, some municipal internet, because the internet
oh my God,
sucked.
It was so terrible. It was so hard to find internet over there.
We even went into a McDonald's trying to find internet, trying to do anything.
No internet there.
Johnny's like, I found an internet cafe. I'm like, where? He's like, Scranton. I'm like, get in the car, let's go. It's like there's no internet cafes. But man, fam, they had some wicked donuts at the Dunkin' Donuts there.
I hate Dunkin' Donuts.
I know you don't like Dunkin' Donuts. You're more of a Starbucks girl, or not even?
I like non-corporate coffee.
Non-corporate coffee. Well,
that's why I live here. Sorry.
The best coffee, Jai's coffee. By far.
Jai has great coffee. Thank you, Jai Gabbard, for the coffee. I stole some from Pasta.
Yes,
because you didn't send me any, so I was a little upset, but it's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got 32 people on the Convo Couch YouTube. We also have a few people over on the MCSC network, and we have a lot of people over on the Facebooks.
Oh,
I'm going to go over and check the ROKFIN, fam. If you haven't gone over to the ROKFIN, that's ROKFIN.
It's pretty awesome.
Please join. Help us out.
It's a blockchain platform.
Yep.
You pay monthly if you want to. You don't have to right away. And you get to see content from many creators, including Ron Placone, Graham Elwood, Nico House, Tina Desiree Berg, us, and many more.
Yes, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and Johnny's always on the horn with these guys, making sure that our stuff comes out good. We got 3 people watching on the ROKFIN, so if you haven't gone over to the ROKFIN, ROKFIN. Fam, we went out to the coldest weather that I've been into in a long time. My fragile body, which is Italian, was really cold to the core. So we're going to wrap up what happened in New Hampshire, because it was some awesome times. There was some historic times. Was it 1772? We'll even get back to there, fam. We'll get back to it when we talk about Hart's location. Start us off, fam. Go ahead.
Okay, so fam, we went to New Hampshire, and and it was cold, like Pasta said, but it was also a state that was supposed to go very, very well for Bernie, because he won it in a landslide last time against Hillary Clinton, and everybody was anticipating a huge Bernie win. But it's also a state where we saw that there are many actually independent people who aren't afraid to go outside of the box. And so when we went to New Hampshire, we were really looking forward to covering people like Tulsi Gabbard and her town halls, and also covering Bernie Sanders and asking people why they were voting for these candidates. And it was the first primary in a regular vote. So it wasn't a caucus. We had a feeling it was going to be much easier. And New Hampshire is a very small state, but it is also... It was snowing, and it's very difficult to get around. Like, they have small roads, so it took like an hour plus to get to different cities, etc.
Icy roads.
So let's go over the midnight election results in Hart's location first.
Yes, because Hart's location was awesome.
Hart's location is a very, very small town. When we were driving, Johnny thought we were going the wrong way, because he was like, I don't believe that there's civilization up here. We got to a point, it was in the middle of the night, because it starts at midnight. So we were driving like at 10 o'clock. We were trying to get there at 11. And we saw actual Christmas trees, like the big, like the fir trees. And it was awesome. Like, I don't know.
It was a sign of Bigfoot crossing, like, just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was out in the wilderness. It was out in the sticks. And guess what, fam? No internet.
So there was a total of 50 people in that town, but only, I believe, 38 people voted. So it was 20 voted Republican, 18 voted Democrat. So that was a total of 38 votes for Bernie Sanders in Hart's location.
Yeah.
And the results were
not for Bernie Sanders.
I'm sorry, no,
Yeah, across the board.
For across the board.
Yeah.
I'm imagining
some
that
voted
it was
Republican. There was some absentees.
So there was only
Yeah.
So there's 6 for Amy Klobuchar. There were 4 for Elizabeth Warren, 3 for Andrew Yang, 2 for Bernie Sanders, 1 for Biden, Tom Steyer, and Tulsi Gabbard at the very first location that we picked. So we witnessed
None for Buttigieg.
the first, exactly, none for Buttigieg. We witnessed the first vote for Tulsi Gabbard. We witnessed the first vote for a lot of people, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So Johnny has a little graph here, right, that shows exactly how many votes went there.
Andrew Yang got 3 in that area. I was kind of, surprised by that. And, we heard some of the people talk. You can talk to them after. If they want to share their vote, they can. If they don't want to, you leave them alone. But I remember 2 of the people who said they really voted for Amy Klobuchar. And, these people, they liked other candidates. They liked Tulsi Gabbard. They liked Andrew Yang, but they voted for Amy Klobuchar because what she had done in the debates. And that's why these debates are so important.
Yeah.
They thought she handled herself well.
Yeah.
So henceforth, they marked the ballot for her. Also, the fact that you can bombard the radio if you have a lot of money, like Tom Steyer and Bloomberg. The older lady that we interviewed, she voted for Tom Steyer. Why? She heard radio ad after radio ad after radio ad because he had the finances to do so. So.
Right. And so I want to point out that this same location during 2016, 4 years ago, Bernie Sanders won 12 votes to Hillary Clinton's 7. So it did change a little bit, but I also think that is because obviously the diverse field more than anything, and there's so many candidates for people to choose from. But I also think like the debates have been framed to help other candidates, and Amy Klobuchar, in the demise of Warren, because Warren has been going down, has come up as like an alternative to Warren because she at least seems to embrace her centrism, the fact that she's a moderate. She doesn't shy away from it, where Warren kind of jumped into it and then pushed back out into the progressive field and then jumped right back in. So people see in New Hampshire and even in Iowa and places like that, they see that as being disingenuous, and they don't like that.
Yeah,
so I think that's why.
I think the whole thing about Amy Klobuchar too is that she is genuine. You know what I'm saying? She is genuine. But I mean, her policies could be all over the place, especially when it comes to foreign policy. She's here, she's there. She obviously pushes too much of the Russiagate narrative for my taste. But once again, she is who she is, and she seems to be honest in who she is. So I think that really carries a lot of weight, and especially like an area like New Hampshire where people are looking for alternatives. Elizabeth Warren she really sniped herself in the ass when it came to that Bernie Sanders situation while saying the whole woman can never be president thing. Nobody really bought that. They turned away from her. However, though, I still think a lot of her votes, when she does drop out, will eventually go to Bernie Sanders. I think.
Maybe. I think some of them, if Amy Klobuchar still in, they'll go to her. If they might go to Buttigieg, honestly. I've seen a lot of Never Bernie groups led by Warren supporters. So
that is true.
We'll see what happens. But let's just play a little bit of the video, I guess.
He was just playing in the
corner.
Okay.
I don't know if there's another part that he wants to play.
Hart's location, they told us to come on back to as well for the general election. They'll be doing it at midnight. It's something special. But what really sucks is the fact that only MSNBC and C-SPAN had the big old giant, satellites to be able to broadcast live and stream live. We were an hour and 20 minutes away, an hour and a half, an hour and 30 minutes away from internet itself. You want to give the guy my business card. He goes, well, we don't have internet around over here. So that sucks and stuff. But once again, having that money, being able to cast those votes out there and show that to the public, that's the big advantages they have. That's why when you help us out, it means so much and it humbles us so much.
Just so you guys know, are you going to play anything or? Okay, got it.
Bill Weld, 4. Mary Maxwell, 1.
I'm just going to put the microphone right here.
And Donald Trump, 15.
All right, so Donald Trump has won the vote here on the Republican side, 15 to Bill Weld's 4 to Mary Maxwell out of Concord, New Hampshire, 1.
And on the Democratic ticket, Klobuchar, 6. Sanders, 2.
Quiet guy there.
Tom Steyer, 1. Elizabeth Warren, 4. Andrew Yang, 3. Joe Biden 1. And Tulsi Gabbard 1. There's Tulsi.
Who got 6?
So that's Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar 6. Elizabeth.
Now, if you couldn't
said that?
recognize that voice, that was clearly Pasta's. It's interesting that
Who got 6?
just so you guys know the demographic, there's a lot of older people here. Very, there's literally like no young people, very, very few.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't surprised that Amy Klobuchar got more and more the centrist candidates. That Bernie did, 2 is actually amazing because given the demographics. But Andrew Yang having 3 was interesting to me, and I think Pasta pointed it out, was like, $1,000 UBI in a place like that where you're not making a lot of money. It would go a long way. So I think that was part of it too.
Yeah.
And,
What was really surprising to me of that vote was Donald Trump. Saying, and I think we eventually will talk more about this. But I made a tweet not too long ago talking about
you
how
were
Donald
surprised
Trump's
by that?
15
Really?
in a symbolic type of vote. That's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because there were independent moderates out there for choices out there. I thought maybe some of those votes that went to Donald Trump could have went to Amy Klobuchar. I thought some of them could have gone to Yang, to Tulsi Gabbard. You know what I'm saying? If they wanted a choice. But, once again, this impeachment has fired up Donald Trump's base.
I don't think it's only the impeachment, though. I mean, I think the impeachment is part of it, but I think it's also the fact that they just don't trust the Democratic Party. So even if they like a candidate, the candidate is running under the Democratic Party, they do not trust that. So a lot of people...
I would think there'd be an abstaining a vote then. That's what I would think. If they really didn't trust, they would abstain. But the fact that they wanted to make a statement, because remember, he was out there in New Hampshire the same time talking about this impeachment. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to make a statement, Donald Trump, and he certainly did because he got a ton of votes there. So
yeah. Okay, so we have that over there, and then we also have the way we went to an actual precinct.
Yes.
And we saw how a regular on a primary day people would vote. So it seemed pretty self-explanatory. It seemed pretty simple how people would do this, right? That you just walk into a middle school, which is what we did. And we spoke to the guy that was the person in charge, and he kind of took us through a little tour of the voting booths and then the voting ballot, and he explained how New Hampshire does it. So just off the bat, New Hampshire has a process where they use scantrons, right? What you guys saw at Hart's location was what some counties in New Hampshire do, where they only use paper ballots. And this is going to come up later in our next segment, because we're going to discuss, was this a legitimate primary? Were there no issues in this primary? And what you saw in the Hart's location was people doing it the old-fashioned way. Very, very old school. You write down, boom, they count it, it's done. It was done in less than 10 minutes. It was like super quick. And they had the results. But in a bigger city near Manchester, which is where we were, they did the AccuVote machine.
Yep.
And we're going to talk more about those machines later. But I just want to point out that they did the AccuVote machine, and then they were supposed to count the hand counted ballots, right? And that was the process of doing it. So we do have a few clips. This is a 12-minute video you guys can watch on our own YouTube. It's on ROKFIN. But it'll be up soon.
Yeah.
But we can just show a clip of him explaining this certain part with the SD cards. But basically, with the SIM card. With the SIM card. So what happens is people choose people are listed on the ballot. I think we had some pictures. The presidential candidates are listed on the ballot. You kind of scantron your choice in, and then it gets put in the machine, and the machine has these black marks next to it that are aligned with whatever choice you have. So if you put Tom Steyer, it'll say Tom Steyer, boom, and that's how the answer key will
it's like a Scantron and whatnot. But once again, the voting machines that tally these votes are not open source. They are proprietary software in them. So once again, the counting process is somewhat distorted. So go ahead, John.
I chose the Democratic ballot only because it's
That's
the Republican works the same way. So let's say, see these marks here on the sides?
Yes.
These are ballot markers. And it represents sort of like an Excel file. So if somebody marks off, and I don't want to pick one, let's say pick this one, okay? Well, that marker reads that circled mark, okay? They take their marker and they circle it. Well, that's the marker that reads that circle.
Oh, so it's like Scantron.
Yeah. It's actually being scanned, right?
Scantron.
Yeah. So that's how that works. So whoever votes for whomever, the markers catch the mark in the circles. Okay. If for some reason somebody by mistake does more than one, that's a problem. We either have to spoil it, and get them a new ballot. If they come up to us and say, "I screwed up," I did too. Or it might kick it back out altogether. So we need to. I want to make sure everybody votes fairly and gets their vote represented, right? So people have come up to us. Nobody today yet, but somebody came up. People in the past have said, they come up to us before they put it in, and you see what I did? I made a mistake here. Can I get another ballot? And we usually. We have to record each ballot anyway, but we record them as spoils.
As spoils.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how that works.
What about the name listing? I noticed that Amy Klobuchar is on the top and Tulsi Gabbard's all the way down here. Yesterday we went to Hart's location, and she was down there again. Aren't they supposed to be rotated name-wise?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that.
You don't?
I'm thinking this is a state-generated ballot.
The whole state.
The whole state. So Amy's Klobuchar is probably on the ballot first in the entire state, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay, the fact that he didn't know that is like a big red flag because honestly, when I after him telling us that he didn't know that, I went and verified at a different location, different middle school. Mm-hmm. This one is in Hooksett, the one that we're just showing right now, in Hooksett, New Hampshire. But I went to Manchester, and I Ubered there, and I got a copy of the ballot, the actual ballot, and it's jumbled up. But I wonder, Tulsi was still at the bottom, so I wonder. Yeah. I was reading, I wanted to do more research into this before we went on with it, but I was reading into the New Hampshire Registrar website, and they were saying that a third of the ballots are it's supposed to be like Tulsi's name's supposed to be at the top in some of them. Yep. Like she's definitely supposed to be at the top. So I wonder if there are any where she's at the top.
Yep.
That's what I wonder.
The Secretary of State's assistant hasn't called me back or texted me back or emailed me for that matter when I asked them, aren't they supposed to be? It's called the ballot style sequence. It's a ballot sequence style, whatever you want to call it. L.A. has the same thing. San Francisco, the state of California is supposed to have the same thing. In other words, they're supposed to rotate the names throughout the county because some people who really don't, who aren't, really in the bubble or politically involved will just not mark the name on the top, right? So if Amy Klobuchar's at the top a lot, I think that's an unfair advantage if it's not.
I think it mainly matters for congressional races. However, I do think it's wrong that they don't know that information. That it's I don't think for a presidential race, I think people know exactly who they're going to vote for. I think for congressional races it makes a difference. Either way, I think it's still wrong, and I just got my California ballot in the mail. I'm going to turn it in and vote in person. But Tulsi Gabbard is pretty much second to last at that one too, and it's really interesting to me, just given all the things that have gone against her. That added to it, I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that. However, I do think it's minimal influence in that respect. However, when it comes to California, when you see a computer and you have to pick the arrow that says continue, some people are like, oh, these are my choices. That's worse because our system is going to use a computer, like a computer screen, and you have to press down for it. And if you don't know that, you're going to think that the people on the first page are your only option. Yeah. So I think then it becomes an issue because you're not just seeing like the paper. It's all digital situation.
Yeah. I kind of disagree with you there. I just know there's people who are not going to be politically involved, who are just going to mark any name. The name at the top has an advantage. It's a very simple thing to make sure they're rotated properly.
And that's why they make sure.
That's why it's so. Me personally, I think it's a big no.
So here's the other one. I'm going to put it up in the screen.
Yeah, I'll hold it for you.
So see, this one says Manchester Ward 6. Now Manchester's a high population place, and you can see you have Raymond Michael Morass in the top, Deval Patrick, then Bernie Sanders. And then down at the bottom again is Tulsi Gabbard. She's about 8 from the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, but she's not the last.
Yeah,
like,
but
she
she's
was-
far down there. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen
But
her.
I mean, it is rotated then in that context,
But
right?
it's got to be rotated properly. You can't be rotating somebody on the bottom. They have to be on the top. Of some, we saw 2 different ballots, and Amy Klobuchar was on the top. I don't know.
The camera is off, I think.
It's good. It's good now.
Okay.
So, by the way, Glory
mean,
Jones says, no idea what the snow was like, but thanks for covering the primary. Your coverage was A++. And I think those trees are evergreen trees, Fee. Thank you, Glory Jones. As it is
Evergreen
always
fir.
appreciated on the couch. Happy Valentine's, yo.
Let's play a little bit more of this.
Yes.
All right, we're
All right.
Check in another
Yeah,
district.
all right. Because these are sent to us by the state.
Gotcha.
So okay.
So you don't know about. All right.
You can remember this, it's a state of New Hampshire first ballot, right? So
Okay.
it's official ballot. All right.
All right.
All right.
Last thing is the machine only has a plug, right, for the.
It's plugged in. There's no internet connection at all.
Could you take us close to look at one? No.
I'd rather not.
No.
I'd rather not.
All
That's
right.
not.
There's no USB anything in there or nothing?
No, yes, there's no internet connection. That's what's good about New Hampshire. It's like it's fault-proof. It's people oriented. It's electronic. We actually did a hand count in January for a special election that we did, which has a whole new set of rules. But there's no internet here. There's no hacking these things. Okay, there's no hacking.
Is there an SD card that could be inserted?
No, there's no SD.
So y'all don't have anyone with SD card?
We have like a SIM card that goes in there, but it's not. There's no internet connection at all. So there's no opportunity for hacking or fraud or these numbers are legit.
John, stop that. Talk about that SIM card, Johnny.
Guys,
Yes.
He may be well intentioned, but he's wrong.
Yeah. I mean, a SIM
Yeah.
card.
do you guys SIM cards? They're in our phones. Every single phone has one.
Yeah.
Almost every single phone. Some of them have they do have one, but it's an internal SIM card. Anyways, the SIM card is like the brain of a phone.
Mm-hmm.
It has a small amount of storage, but like it's used to communicate to the telephone company. So my question is, if there's a SIM card, who's it communicating with? Who has access to that? And I know later on he says that they hand verify.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go back to this middle school to see. I wanted to see when they announced the results, because apparently when they announce all the results, they just publicly announce them, and
And you can view them.
someone's there to pick it up and tell the DNC or tell the world or whatever.
So let me just mention that right now. So I alerted the campaign about a local person in the New Hampshire the state of New Hampshire state for Bernie Sanders, saying, hey, you guys, are there going to be volunteers, or are there going to be sort of
Monitors.
somebody from the campaign to monitor the counting of the ballots, because that's extremely important. And then he said, yeah, there is somebody, the person I was communicating with was in the field department. So they're just the canvassing part.
Mm-hmm.
They said that another department of the Bernie Sanders campaign was supposedly handling that. Now, what I want to ask is, who of you that's watching this, and I'm going to make another tweet later, who actually was able to go and observe what happened at the precincts? I wasn't able to do that, but I want to know if anybody was there to actually observe the hand count, because what's been said is that the hand counted areas with just the paper ballots that didn't use the AccuView machines do not match the machines. So the counts are off. They should be the same, right?
Yeah.
And this just kind of takes us to the next point, where Bernie Sanders, of course, as we all know, technically won New Hampshire by the popular vote.
No, we didn't.
But he got the same amount of delegates as Pete Buttigieg. And so to me, although I'll gladly take the mainstream media saying he won, etc., to me, the delegates matter. And the delegates matter because we know that this is the electoral college at play. This isn't a one person, one vote kind of country, unfortunately. And we're going to go to the convention and all of these things. So these delegates matter. So what I want to know is, were any other people there to witness the hand? And we're going to go deep into why I believe these machines are not reliable at all and why there's tons and tons of proof that these machines aren't reliable.
Gloria Jones with the Super Chat contribution says, and thank you for the Super Chat contribution, as it is always appreciated on the couch. Roses are red, violets are blue. Election integrity in the United States is overdue. Yes, it is. And that's the whole thing. Once again, I want to point out that I think the New Hampshire primary was much better than what took place in the Iowa caucus. There's a lot more fuckery going on. And I think if you're grading on a curve, New Hampshire might be up there. But the problem is our elections aren't owned by the people. They always have closed source information. The counting, the AccuVotes, that's what she's talking about, and the guy was talking about there's a count going on. Well, once again, there is proprietary software in these machines. We don't know how accurate they are. And then furthermore, when they're saying that a SIM card can go in there goes your brain. Now you can control anything and do anything and tweak anything at any point. So who knows? I mean, you can easily put a bug in there to do anything. Let me get you on your page here.
So aside from that, we caught many of Tulsi's town halls and witnessed a variety of people who support her. Pasta did a little bit more coverage of her on her primary night, and he attended one more town hall. But from what I saw and from what I witnessed and from what I was able to go to these town halls, the majority of the people at her town halls weren't either Republican or Democrat. They were independents. And the people, when she did the whole thing, raise your hand if you're a Democrat, raise your hand if you're a Republican, raise your hand if you're an independent. She had people from all over. She said, did she say libertarian?
Yeah, she said independents and libertarians, because there are a lot of libertarians. And it says live free or die, right?
Yeah, that's the motto of the state. So I thought it was interesting because we also ran into not a lot, but a good amount of Trump supporters who either attended her town halls or were, there for a Trump rally and were like, Pasta and Nico were like talking about Tulsi, and they started talking, one lady was like, my husband's voting for Tulsi in the primary, and I'm voting for Trump, and blah, blah, blah. And for me, I have to admit, I'm just like, I don't understand. I can understand why people are voting for Trump, but I'm also like, there is a sense of, for me, where certain issues don't matter to you if you're willing to do that. And so they were all talking, and they were like, they hate Hillary Clinton. I was like, we agree. We hate Hillary Clinton.
They hate the DNC too.
We don't believe the impeachment went the right way. Mm-hmm. And this is coming from me, a Bernie supporter or a leftist. Like,
worse than they could have done, fam.
Yeah.
Worse than they could have done.
It was interesting to have these discussions and, to be very nuanced about it, because what happens a lot of the times with Trump supporters is we hear, they're very mean and rude, and that's not what I experienced personally this time. Yeah. Maybe in other instances the experiences might have been different, and they were in other instances for me, but at New Hampshire I didn't experience that at all.
I think it's because they're, once again, it's highlighted by the media, the negatives of, the Trump, when it comes to CNN, MSNBC, they're going to highlight those people who are just really, the deplorables of sorts. And once again, I don't think that all the Trump people are deplorables. There's just a small bit of them that are, and that's the ones they highlight. And secondly, because it is New Hampshire, where people are so respectful of one another, they don't believe that their political ideology makes them who they are. And in
that's
fact,
similar to Iowa too.
It is similar to Iowa. In LA, it's totally different because you have this polarizing, knocking against each other, like awfulness. But even still, when we were at a polling place, Johnny, remember we talked to the Trump supporter, and she said, I saw Deval Patrick, and I got a picture with him. And she had the Trump beanie on, the Trump shirt, but she saw Deval Patrick. She still wanted a picture with him because she still liked him as a person. She just aligned mostly with Trump. And don't get me wrong, when we talk to her about her issues, those issues that are important to her are not important to me whatsoever. And, and in fact, when it comes to the wall and the immigration status, I'd love to start debating with some of the Trump people who don't want to take accountability for our imperialism causing these problems. So, I'd like to get in the ring and talk to some Trump people, because I've seen some people online always saying, well, why do the Democrats care about immigrants more than they care about the homeless people and the vets on the street. And that's just not true. Once again, we feel that it's our responsibility because we created these immigrants that came here. Therefore, they must be dealt with.
Well, the problem is the Democrats don't even deal with that either.
Nope.
So,
Terrible.
And we're
Well, they
not a
support war,
monolith.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a registered Democrat now, but I'm not, loyal to the Democratic Party. I'm loyal to what are the people's needs. And so are a lot of people like that. And so I do value what New Hampshire, the way they talk about things and stuff. I think it's definitely different than the way we do things here in LA.
Yeah. A couple super chat contributions from Meeg. #_ 2005. Thank you for the super chat contribution. As it always, BJ on the couch. Nice to see you back home on the couch. Will you be covering the primaries in L.A.? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would love to meet you guys. We live in L.A. Is that Louisiana or L.A., Meeg? Let us know.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be covering a lot of these primaries. In fact, we'll talk about it after. Jim Garrison, thank you so much for going after who was he going after? The guy? Clive Owen from the movie Kennedy, JFK, Jim Garrison, the lawyer. Great show with an 8. Pasta and hot fee. Feel the burn. Fee, you're on fire. And also on the MCSC network, thank you for the super chat contribution. The artificial morphsome man in New Hampshire after polls closed. Bernie started 8 points ahead. How could Pete creep up to 1 point? I smell rigging.
Me too.
Yes, you do. And Freedom Tribe. Thank you so much, and thank you for your contribution to our GoFundMe. Freedom Tribe, thank you
Freedom
so much.
Tribe.
A big one. I love you, girl. You're all amazing. Thanks for keeping up with the good fight for the people. Tulsi strong. It ain't quick and easy to plant the seeds of truth and peace and courage and integrity. One voter at a time. And that's right, because, hey, listen, she's a Tulsi fan. Let me tell you something. The Tulsi movement is a movement in its own. So,
and make sure if you're on the MCSC channel, hop on over to the CONVO Couch channel and super chat on there, because we don't get any of these super chats on the MCSC network.
We don't. So please subscribe and follow the CONVO Couch. So I want to point out Tulsi Gabbard did say some really important things, and this is why I support her voice, because she has at least brought foreign policy into the forefront. Bernie Sanders actually started talking more about it, and we saw his surrogate, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, talk more about it. And she also has called out the DNC, Hillary Clinton, and the establishment like Tom Perez. And we got a chance to ask her a few questions. And in one of those questions that was asked of her, she talked about what she thought about Bloomberg, what she thought about the Iowa caucuses, and what she thought about Tom Perez. Do we have that video?
I think we're actually going to talk about some of the questions she had, because Johnny was able to capture all of them in the town hall that we went to. And there were some serious nuanced conversations over here. And that's what I love about Tulsi Gabbard, because you see
Wait, but let's,
one of these answers.
I wanted to show first the hand thing.
The gun controller?
No, hey, raise your hand if you're Democrat.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. So you can help me out with this. Raise your hand if you're a Democrat. Registered or not, whatever. However you identify, that's cool.
If you fear for your life, blink twice.
All right. Thank you. You can put your hand up. If you are Republican, raise your hand. Awesome. Thank you for being here. If you are independent or libertarian, raise your hand.
Yeah.
This
Right.
So you can see the diversity.
Yeah, that just shows that a lot of people in that state, or a lot of people that attend our town halls, I think it's a little both, are very independent minded, and I think that's awesome, and I think that's cool. And I think we as someone that's actually an independent, and I need to remind people, Bernie Sanders is actually an independent. He's running as a Democrat, but he's been an independent for the longest time. That's one of the reasons I actually liked him from the start, because I felt so just disgruntled with the Democratic Party, and especially after 2016, I completely left it. And so, that's still something to me, that having an independent mind to me, rather than having some blind loyalty to a color or a side, is far more important.
Yeah. Johnny, what video got next?
So you wanted to show the Tom Perez one?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Tom Perez one.
So this morning you called for the DNC chair to resign. Was it based off the Iowa caucus, or was it maybe a combination of a number of different
It's been a combination of a number of things. This failure of leadership in the Iowa caucus has been an incredible disservice both to Iowa voters, but also to voters across the country who, as this primary election kicks off, are increasingly wondering if this system, if this election is going to be fair, is it going to be transparent, is it actually going to work? I think this is just the latest failure. I think the others that we can point to is the recent decision the DNC made to change their rules to accommodate the billionaire who is Michael Bloomberg, to allow him to be on the debate stage. While there was never reconsideration of the rules for any of the other candidates, they decided to exclude off of that debate stage. I think the point here is that Democrats want to have the peace of mind that our primary system will be fair and transparent and will be representative of Democrats who are voting, those who are voting in this primary. And his failure of leadership is cause for us all to call for him to resign, to begin to reinstill that trust that voters need to have.
You voted
I
for
think one last thing that's come to light, I just found out before I came up here, is the former chair of the Iowa Democratic Party is calling on the Iowa Democratic Party to sue the DNC because he says they were forced to use this app by the DNC that had not been tested before. So I think there's going to be a lot of other information that's coming out, but ultimately this comes down to a failure of leadership.
So you voted for the...
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think this is brave because not very many people are calling Tom Perez to step down. I don't even think Bernie Sanders has done that.
Not
And I
yet.
think
He will.
It's important
Eventually.
that this, that somebody's doing it, and if he doesn't want to dirty his hands, whatever. I mean, there's Tulsi doing it, and I think this goes back to Tulsi being the one that isn't afraid to really just throw it all out there. She isn't, afraid to piss off the DNC. She's already pissed them off, so she's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
They've clearly excluded her from every single thing and every single turn. So, yeah.
I would like to make a little statement right now, fam, because I think we're going to, this is going to be the discussion right now. A lot of people are saying that Tulsi should drop out. She only got 3% of the vote and stuff like that. But I'm going to say this right now from going to a lot of Tulsi events, not just in New Hampshire, but here in California, and seeing a lot of people that I don't think it's just as simple as fact as that half those people that go over from Tulsi are going to go vote for Bernie Sanders. I'm telling you right now that 1/3 of those people who go to support Tulsi Gabbard are libertarian. They're hardcore libertarian, and they're not going to vote for Bernie Sanders. So it's just not a given to the fact that all those voters would go over there. I think half of them maybe might go over there, but that's still, it's still risky. Why not let her accumulate these votes, okay, that Bernie Sanders won't get, and then give them over to him eventually when she does drop.
Well, I mean,
Or
I think that
something
depends.
like
I mean, I think some of her own supporters would disagree with you, saying that they don't want to continue contributing to a candidate they feel like doesn't really have a path to victory. Not to quote the establishment, but that's what it eventually comes down to. I tend to, agree. I mean, I don't think it harms Bernie at this point yet. But I also, even if it did, every single person has a right to run if they want to run. It's not my place or yours or anybody else's to tell somebody to drop out and endorse my candidate.
Yeah.
I feel like that completely turns people off from doing that. It turns off the supporters from coming over there.
Yeah.
It
The
happened.
browbeating. It's just.
It happened with Andrew Yang. When Andrew Yang dropped out, I saw a lot of my people, my Bernie supporters, go and demand that Yang endorse Bernie. You're not going to get very far acting like that. And I think I'm all for calling people out on their bullshit, criticizing policies, etc. But when you are when a candidate drops out, give them a moment. Give them a moment to breathe. A lot of these people worked really hard and believe in this candidate, even if you don't. Yeah. Even if you don't believe it. I'm not a huge fan of Andrew Yang's policies. I like Andrew Yang I feel like he's likable, but I'm not a huge fan of him at all. And of course it would benefit Bernie Sanders if he endorsed him, but I think that the Yang coalition is very diverse, and I think that some necessarily aren't going to support Bernie. And I think Sager from The Hill Rising posted a set of messages with permission from these Yang people who said, I'm supporting Bernie Sanders because his supporters turned me off.
Yeah.
Or I'm not supporting Bernie Sanders because I actually don't believe I believe Tulsi Gabbard is more of where I align. Or I believe I was never a Democrat. I'm going to go for Trump. Or they'll not vote or whatever they'll do. We cannot expect that these votes will automatically go to the guy we want.
Yeah.
These votes have to be earned. And I think Bernie Sanders is now the front runner. You know, he can earn these votes in a different way rather than having his supporters, you know, it's not his fault his supporters do this, but I think that's one of the things.
Bernie Sanders wouldn't condone of this behavior. And
yeah, I just think
it
it's
was
a
the
little
same thing that happened to him in 2016.
Right. Like you don't want to tell anybody. And I think some burners are to our credit are realizing that, like, hey, like, it's not cool. I remember when they did this to Bernie, they said drop out and endorse Hillary. It was the most obnoxious thing ever. So we have to remember
once again,
that.
I believe in institutions. And once again, if somebody is qualified to run, their name is on the ballot, and they choose to stay in for whatever reason, they could stay in. It was from the mainstream media, the elites, who made this up in 2016 that Bernie Sanders had no path to victory after he lost the last coin toss.
Yeah.
In Iowa, they were telling him, since Iowa, they were telling him to drop out. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, once again, it's just so ironic to see these Bernie Sanders people doing the same thing to Tulsi Gabbard that the mainstream media and the elites did to Bernie Sanders in 2016.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong. Secondly, I just also want to point out when it says, okay, if you don't want to contribute to Tulsi Gabbard, then don't contribute to Tulsi Gabbard. If you don't see a path to victory, then don't do it. But a lot of people feel like this is a movement. I don't know if this Tulsi Gabbard's going to necessarily win this time, but down the road, I think she could and should be president. So if I have a few extra dollars to support her, I'm supporting the whole movement moving forward. And that's up to people if they want to do that. If they don't think that she has a chance to win this time, then they're out. Like our friend Ungi, he's kind of on the fence. He's like, well, you know, I don't know if I want to support somebody who's necessarily not going to be able to make her for president, but I love her. I love the movement, so I'm going to continue to support her until she does drop out. And if that means I got to throw a couple bucks that way, consciously I'm doing it. I know that's it's a chance. I'm still going to do it.
Well, you should think about where all these smears originated from, right?
Yeah.
They originated from the deep state,
They did.
fucking military-industrial complex, deep state, CIA, fucking
Elites.
spooks that fucking
Yeah.
are against, and the Hillary Clinton machine that's completely against Tulsi Gabbard because she fucking stood up to
Johnny
Hillary
Rogan.
Clinton.
Yeah. And you got people out there who are narcissists calling Tulsi Gabbard a narcissist. I don't even want to hear it. Not mentioning any names, but it's just ridiculous at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you're just doing the same. And guys like Michael Brooks and Sam Cedar, you know, why I can never take them serious. It's the vote shaming.
Yeah.
It's the browbeating. It's like, stop it. It's like, it's so anti-fucking progressive. It's disgusting that they're doing
I don't think
stuff.
you should vote shame anybody. I don't even think, I mean, at this point, like, you know, it's kind of interesting seeing, there's a guy that came from being a Warren supporter and a huge Bernie hater. Within 2 days, he's like, "Oh, Warren has no path to victory, so I'm supporting Bernie Sanders." And I'm like, "Oh, everyone's like, cool, that's awesome, okay, great." But I'm a little skeptical because you know me, I'm a little skeptical. Yeah. And then I saw him say, "You guys need to stop using the snake emoji," and I'm like, "I'm sorry." And one of the other people on Twitter, I think her name's Veronica. She was like, "You don't come into someone's house and you don't, you know, tell them how to rearrange their furniture. Like, chill. You just came in." Calm down. Don't tone police us. Don't tell us how to act. Like, if we want to use a snake emoji, we're gonna use a snake emoji. If you're more worried about snake emojis, you don't get it. You don't get this
lost.
Movement. Like, people are dying here. The snake emojis are the last thing that should be on your mind. So yes, I welcome all new supporters into Bernie's movement, whether they supported Hillary, Tulsi, Yang, Warren. I don't care who they supported, but you will not tone police. This a huge movement that is independent of Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders can get on there and say, "I don't want my people to harass the people," and I rarely see harassment. What we're talking about is people asking other candidates to drop out. Like, that's something I don't condone. But what I'm seeing here is the establishment take this Bernie bro thing and use it to gaslight us and into not criticizing or exposing the policies of Bloomberg, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, and differentiating them between that, because this is the primary. What do you expect? This is what we do at a primary. If you can't handle it, don't be in the race or get off Twitter. That's it.
Exactly. And then, you know, you sound like, you know, who somebody else said that same thing a couple years ago.
Yeah, but then she blocked me.
She's crying. And then she blocked for somebody who blocked all of us. Anna, not mentioning any names and stuff like that. And then, you know, somebody over here, Dwayne Posner's putting Vermin Supreme. Hey, vote Vermin Supreme 2020. You know, we caught up with them.
We caught up with Vermin.
We got a little interview with Vermin.
Yeah,
and
we'll
everything.
post it later.
So we got there. You know, and I also put this other tweet up there myself. And I got a little bit play up there. But it said, as a Bernie supporter, why would you want Tulsi to drop out right now? She stays in the race. She's going to take half the flack.
Well, I feel
and
like
she can take it. And I'm not trying to downplay her. It's just a reality that it will loosen it up. He doesn't need to get hit from all sides when Tulsi could be.
I feel like some of her supporters won't agree with you, but all I'm saying is
got a lot of play on that.
I
tweet,
think
fam.
I think the way she's polling, is really not really. I don't think she's the one hurting Bernie. I think it's more of the Elizabeth Warren coalition that is hurting Bernie. So let's talk about Bernie's rallies really quick because Bernie's presence was huge in New Hampshire. I mean, ridiculously huge. He had he broke one record at the Keene rally for the largest rally, and then the next day he broke it again with over 7,000 people in New Hampshire. Just so you guys know, New Hampshire is a tiny state.
It has 7,003 people in it, so 3 people didn't show.
Exactly, pretty much. And Bernie Sanders, of course, had ridiculous rallies. He had Nina Turner there by his side, always doing amazing things. She called out Pete Buttigieg, called out the wine cave and the Swarovski crystals. She has zero issues telling it like it is. It's funny because I'm so glad Bernie has her on his team because he is so, he's more mild-mannered. And she's all like, yeah, well, no, we won in Iowa. We're going to win in New Hampshire. She has no qualms. And there's some of Johnny's footage.
Yeah, Johnny made amazing work. Johnny amazing on this trip, man. Even like when we went to the Bernie rally at the end, I went to the Tulsi rally at the end, and I missed some footage because I want to send a special shout out to Sheila. I hope you're feeling better. Had an epileptic seizure right in front of the door, but she was okay. But yeah, I mean, Johnny went out and he did some great work. He went back and forth. He was running around with the camera around his neck. So great work, Johnny. What do you got over here?
It's just Nina Turner.
Okay.
At the rally. She's saying some fire stuff.
Being
always.
Nina Turner.
Like always.
Being fire. And
it's a good ticket in the future? Nina Turner, Tulsi Gabbard, Nina Turner.
Yeah, that would be a good ticket.
I like your style,
I mean, I
Johnny.
heard. I like
your style.
Heard it through the grapevine.
But a lot of Bernie people still have a hard time with Tulsi right now. They haven't accepted it, whatnot. I think there's a lot of people who feel standoffish because people say that Tulsi's better on foreign policy, and they immediately get pissed off.
But I think
I
think you're generalizing. I think there's a lot of people that don't feel like that feel that way about Warren, and it's also on Twitter. And Twitter can be a very
the majority of them. I'm just saying there is a group of people out there. Once again, we got to bring them over eventually. I hope so, or they see the light, whatnot. But there are obstacles in there. You know what I'm saying? Right now, Bernie is definitely the man to beat. He's got the person with all the support. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's a long road.
So this is more pictures over here of the Bernie rally. There's one with Bernie's family, and then this picture where he just went down the line and started shaking everyone's hand. By the way, I'm in Bernie's new ad. Scott Dakota and I are because the camera just pans. It's really like Scott. A millisecond. Missed you, Scott.
Scott, I wish I would have met you, man. I missed you.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah. And so I just want to show the biggest Bernie Sanders rally. I think this was it.
In your tweet?
Tweet? Well, it's where I have the picture. Wow, this is from Scott Dakota. This one had over 7,500 people. And the night before, like I said, he had broke the record with nearly 2,000 people. So he had over 5,000 people more show up in this next rally. And that to me is crazy. Right. And I know this whole time when we were at other events, we went to the 100 McIntyre event thing where they had Pete Buttigieg people in the stands and, Pete got booed off. And I think that's we're going to show that in a little bit later. But this is a little clip from election night, I think.
Pete booed off.
And I just have just a small clip of him coming out of when people were waiting. So we were waiting till 11 o'clock at night for him to come out. And I'm gonna mention this. Johnny mentioned the 8-point surge that he wasn't buying, right? So we were over there looking at the percentages, and it was good at first, 4-point difference, etc. It was fine. Then all of a sudden the numbers start getting smaller and smaller, and Buttigieg starts getting closer and closer to Bernie, and we're all like, what the hell? You should have felt the energy in the room. It was tough. It was tough. We were angry. And I was with my friend Drea and my friend Scott, and we were like, what the heck is this? And especially because these people that I was with, they canvassed hard for Bernie Sanders. I mean, they were hardcore volunteers, and they were like, how this isn't matching up our logs to where how many people were going to vote for Bernie. It's not matching the exit polls. Okay, well, the exit polls can be wrong. So, okay, but it wasn't matching like what they had anticipated.
Fam, it's like I told you, the most important issue is our civil liberties, okay? Now, they've they freaking have distorted the information out there that Pete Buttigieg gets all the support. I don't get it. How are they doing this? Like, Pete Buttigieg stands for nothing. He hates the press. You know, he's a warmonger. He's a spook. He's an invented candidate. They invented him. The military-industrial complex, the CIA, everybody, the deep state. That's all this guy is. But to see so many people that are in his corner. Now, listen, I think they might be inflating his numbers and stuff, but still, there's still too many people out there right now that are voting for him.
I do think there are people absolutely who are voting for him.
It's ridiculous. I don't know why.
Brian Giardinelli said hi when I was there, by the way. So shout out to him, photographer.
My paisano.
Your paisano.
¿Qué pasó,
photographer
paisano?
for
I just
Bernie.
spoke Spanish and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like
get your romantic languages straight. Oh yeah. So speaking of Pete Buttigieg, Pete Buttigieg.
Booed off stage.
Pete Buttigieg got booed off stage, and I caught this beautiful moment. And
how many views did you get on this?
I don't know, Johnny. Let's just play.
Almost 200,000 views.
Let's just play the video, Johnny, because
Johnny video.
With a president that's divisive, we cannot risk dividing Americans' future further. Saying that you must either be for a revolution or you must be for the status quo. Let's make room for everybody in this movement.
Not just go there.
This is our one shot.
They went nuts.
Chance to defeat Donald
Well, he said the word revolution mockingly.
And there is an American majority that is unified not just in who we are against, but in what we are for.
There we go.
Because we are for.
He did just hire somebody from Goldman Sachs, did he not?
Yeah. So there's Pete Buttigieg, and obviously, we were at this event. Pasta was there hanging out with
That was the comment that pissed me off, fam.
with his
That's why I went by
Kratz.
the fucking door. After that comment, when he went after Bernie on stage, I was like,
Oh, I was pissed off. But I was like, I gotta get these reactions.
Where we go? I'm going to wait for Pete Buttigieg right now. So what do you got, Johnny? Jimmy D?
Yeah, so Pasta, tell us what happened when you angrily...
Well, I want Johnny to read Jimmy Dora's tweet because he had a certain word in there. I want him to say it.
Another report of Pete Buttigieg goons roughing up the press. This time at Pasta, if Trump's people were doing this, CNN and NBC would be screaming and creating a narrative around his violent thugs harassing journalists. So
here it is.
You guys just
I just said, I calmly waited for Pete Buttigieg to come out and ask him a question. And then his goons pointed over to me and the security guard grabbed him.
You want to take a step over, sir?
That's the way to
Pasta
go.
made a big mistake.
Mayor Pete, will you pardon Julian Assange? Will you pardon Julian Assange? Pete, will you pardon Julian Assange? Pete, will you pardon You're not allowed to grab me. I'm not just on film. Why are you grabbing me? Because you're going to I would like to speak to your supervisor right now. Please. Please, let me go. I would like his supervisor right now. What's your name, sir? Calm down. No, he was grabbing me and throwing me out of the way.
You're going to an exit that you're not allowed to go to.
I was going this way. I have a press pass. It doesn't matter. You can't go this way. Relax. No.
Honestly, Pasta's big ass booming voice is fucking a weapon of that you can break eardrums with that with your voice.
Pasta, tell us the mistake that you made.
Wearing a Tulsi shirt?
Yeah.
They still want to mention that and stuff. Listen, I didn't think I was going to be going to this event.
He didn't. He thought he was going to go somewhere else where he could wear a shirt and he wasn't going to be being a journalist because we have to be, you'll never see me wearing a Bernie shirt. Huh?
I didn't think this was a huge
Yeah, he thought he
event.
was gonna go
I was like, let me get Fee in there, make sure she's set up, and I'm going for pizza. And then I see a bunch of people with shirts and whatnot. It was like a pep rally for the candidates, and all of a sudden, like, there's all Tulsi peeps. You know, Prince AG's over there, David's over there. You know, Irene, all these people, just so many great people. Robin was there, Sheila, Sarah. All these Tulsi crats, like pasta, and I'm like, okay. And I had the shirt on whatnot, but I still went over there, and there were other people around there with shirts too as well. But normally, that is a golden rule of thumb that we talked about this a long time ago. We have to take the journalism seriously, and I shouldn't be, because it labeled me out. Like, I can see Pete Buttigieg's goon man go out and just look at me like, this motherfucker's got a camera with a boom mic on it. Yeah, right. Let's just watch him. You know,
yeah.
they pointed to me. And he did. When you saw the camera go up, this son of a bitch grabbed me under my armpit and just pissed me off. And I was going strictly side by side. I wasn't impeding him whatsoever. And once again, fam, he had that creepy smirk of not answering anymore.
That's what someone just said. G Hippie says, Cyborg Pete walking by with that robotic smile.
Yeah,
it's so
bad.
disgusting with his freaking thing up his ass. Hey, guys, we just had some new people join our Convo Couch YouTube. If you haven't joined our Convo Couch YouTube, please do. But more importantly, get on over to the ROKFIN, ROKFIN. Guess what we're doing next Saturday, fam? Boots on the ground, big stream in here, Johnny Sue, graphics, the whole 9 yards. We're going to bring you the up-to-date news on that primary next week. Not MSNBC, not CNN, and not Fox. Because you know why? If something happens, they'll stop the results. They always do.
Yeah, so I will be in Nevada for the Nevada caucus, and I will be out there, and I'm already pissed off at how it's set up so far. So just letting you guys know, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans going on. Okay, so let's
what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we're going to come right back with another segment.
Yeah.
So we want you to make sure you're here.
It's
stay
a whole
around.
new segment. It's going to be a whole new thing we're going to be doing. It makes it easier for Johnny. It makes it easier for all of us. Shorter segments.
Try to repost this way. So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to stop. This is only an hour long.
This is our first show back from
got a lot to talk about.
Since we haven't live streamed in forever, so we knew this was going to be a long show.
Because we had and special thanks to our GoFundMe, our Patreons, our Super Chats. You guys have been so awesome. Boots on the ground, getting us out there to do some really, really, really good work. I was really proud of the fact we got up to Hart's location and a lot of the stuff we did. And of course, just going into that polling spot too with you guys. You know, I stood behind them. I asked that one question, but man, you guys really got on that stuff. I thought this was some really, really good stuff, and we got to go cover these things because, as you can see, independent journalists can go out there and cover stuff that the mainstream media won't bring you. Did they show you anything? Did they ask those questions and put that on film? No, we did. Yeah. So for Pasta Jardula
and Fiorella,
Johnny Sue spinning on those 1s and 2s.
We'll be right back.
See you then. Happy Valentine's.
Oh, God.
Oh, I know.